There's a kind of horror that doesn't scream. It lingers. It sits with you. Itim, the 1976 directorial debut of Mike De Leon, is that kind of horror. Itim tells the story of a quiet woman, a visiting photographer, and the ghost of a missing nun who refuses to rest. The film won Best Direction at the 1977 Asian Film Festival, but more than that, it marked the beginning of De Leon's bold career as a filmmaker unafraid of confronting Philippine society's darkest undercurrents. But this isn't just a ghost story. It was released just a few years after the declaration of martial law, a time of national fear, suppression, and silence. In many ways, Itim reflects the Philippines itself, haunted by things we don't talk about, possessed by memories we can't seem to bury. This is not the horror of spectacle. This is the horror of silence, of inherited grief, female trauma, and emotional repression. And that's exactly what makes it unforgettable. Let me tell you the story. During Holy Week in the town of San Ildefonso, a seance is held in the home of a grieving family. The medium declares that Rosa, a missing Catholic nun, is dead. Her younger sister Teresa listens in uneasy silence. Their mother, still hopeful, asks if the spirit of Rosa can speak to her. The Spiritista promises an answer, but only on a Good Friday. At the same time, June, a young photographer from Manila, returns to San Ildefonso to visit his father, Dr. Torres, a once prominent physician now paralyzed and mute following an accident. While staying in their ancestral home, June documents the town's traditional Lenten rituals for a Manila based magazine: processions, acts of penance, religious iconography, each one more unsettling than the last. It's during these wandering photo sessions that June encounters Teresa, seemingly by chance. She appears distant, lost in her world. June captures her in a candid photograph, and soon after, he witnesses increasingly strange behaviors from her. Moments where she seems possessed by something beyond her control. Their connection deepens, but it soon becomes clear that something supernatural is at play. Inside his father's dusty clinic, June finds an undeveloped film negative. He processes it and uncovers an old photo of Dr. Torres with a young woman, Rosa. As another seance unfolds, the mystery unravels. Rosa's spirit is revealed to be possessing Teresa, using her body to speak from beyond the grave. Through this possession, Rosa tells the horrifying truth. She was in a secret affair with Dr. Torres. When she became pregnant, he forced her to undergo an abortion, which ultimately led to her death. Her disappearance wasn't a mystery, it was a silenced crime. Not long after, Dr. Torres' car crashed, leaving him paralyzed and unable to speak. A punishment that seems poetic, and yet Rosa's vengeance doesn't end there. Through Teresa, she exacts final justice. Dr. Torres falls down the stairs to his death, closing the circle of guilt, silence, and retribution. When Teresa enters the story, she seems delicate, dazed, lost in thought, but soon we realize she's carrying more than her pain. Teresa is possessed, not violently but almost tragically, by the spirit of her missing sister Rosa, a nun who disappeared under suspicious circumstances. The seances reveal a dark truth. Rosa was abused, silenced, and buried. Now, through Teresa, she speaks. But what if this possession isn't just literal? What if it's a metaphor for generational trauma? The kind that passes quietly from one woman to another, never fully processed, never healed. Teresa's breakdown isn't sudden, it's a slow burn, a steady unraveling. Much like a country learning to process its collective trauma, Teresa is carrying a history she didn't ask for, one that refuses to stay buried. The film's horror lies in how familiar that feels. One of the most unsettling things about Itim is how quiet it is. Too quiet. Mike De Leon chooses not to show us jump scares or loud exorcisms. Instead, we get long silences, natural light, and shadows that stretch across empty halls. The house itself becomes a character, cold, still, and filled with ghosts. In a way, the cinematography mirrors the emotional state of the characters, frozen, stuck, haunted. It's reminiscent of Jack Clayton's The Innocents in 1961, another film where stillness becomes terrifying. Itim is not interested in possession as demonic. It's about how the past quietly overtakes the present. Every frame feels like it's hiding something, and the tension is what keeps you locked in. Charo Santos as Teresa delivers a chilling performance, not with screams or violence, but with silence. Her possession scenes are subtle. Her face shifts, her eyes dim, her voice changes. It's terrifying because it feels too natural. She's not a horror hero in the modern sense. She's not fighting demons, she's fighting memory. Then there's Tommy Abuel as June, a man observing all of this through his camera. At first detached, just a guest in town for Holy Week, but the deeper he gets into the mystery, the more haunted he becomes, especially when he discovers his father's role in Rosa's death. June begins as an spectator, but by the end, he's possessed too, by knowledge, by guilt, by truth. Even the mute and paralyzed Dr. Torres exudes a kind of cold authority. Without speaking a word, he becomes the figure of patriarchal power, silent, immovable, and deeply guilty. Itim doesn't come up often in mainstream horror discussions, even here in the Philippines, but it should. It paved the way for elevated horror in the country. A horror that isn't just about fear, but about memory, trauma, and the truth. In today's landscape of flashy scares and digital gore, Itim is a reminder that horror doesn't need to be loud. Sometimes, the scariest thing is what's left unsaid. In the end, Teresa is freed from possession, but not without a cost. Rosa's truth is revealed, but the scars, they remain. And the silence that Itim breaks is the kind that still echoes today. Because some ghosts aren't just spirits. Some ghosts are memories, traumas, and the parts of history we never learned to speak about.